And I was thinking about when you said, they call you, you're in the middle of something, and then literally your phone's like ringing. And I think about moments where like destiny calls, right? You get little flashes of things that are coming up. You're working a job, right? Maybe you're out there listening and you're at a 9 to 5 and your coworkers are always confirming like, hey, you're really good at X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Why are you hear this? Why are you here?
Yeah.
Like why are you here? Why are you working here? And I think it's twofold, right? If you hadn't devoted yourself to something that you felt you had to do, right? When the thing that comes calling that you want to do, you might be able to accept it, but you may not carry the disciplines required.
Exactly.
So being able to devote yourself in that process, which is what you thought would go down the route of teaching, now being in voiceover and then circling back around to even King's Return now with vocal. So kind of jumping into King's Return a bit.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit of the origins of how King's Return came about, being a founding member of King's Return.
Like I mentioned, my favorite groups of all time is Take Six. My
love Take
favorite
Six.
Acapella group, period. They were instrumental in my love for vocal harmony. And so that, going back to DBU, my senior year, I had to do a senior recital. It is demanded of us in order to finish our degree. And at the end of that recital, you're tasked with doing some sort of solo. It could be like a special number. It could be with strings. It could be with horns. It could be something just special than what your voice teacher and you have programmed. Those things are typically classical and more, hoity-toity stuff. But this one is like, what do you want to do? And so I was like, I kind of want to do like a acapella thing. No one's probably done it before, and no one has. Like not at a senior recital,
right? And
so I got my friends, J.E. McKissick. He's at Cornerstone Baptist Church. Jesse Cannon, and then Jerry Spanks, who was a buddy of mine. Who that's my best friend. Like we harmonized together on Vine, and that was stomping grounds or whatever. So I knew they could sing, and I definitely knew that they could harmonize, right? So we got together and we did Yesterday by Boyz II Men. Well, it's actually by the Beatles, and Boyz II Men did a cover of it. And then we did Total Praise, which is Smallwood. And we're just like, let's do it at the end of it. So at the end of the recital, we do it. We get this thunderous applause. It goes, we actually, there's a live version of it on Facebook Live, where there's this thunderous applause. And Richard Smallwood actually commented on it. Was like, yo, this was great. And so from there, we were like, wait a minute, we sound kind of good. Okay, cool. But then we started getting invitations to come back to the school and perform again. I was like, okay, cool. And then like word got out somehow that we were a group. We weren't really a group. We just sung together a recital. So Duncanville invited us to do some sort of 4th of July parade thing that we did, and then a couple of other stuff. And then it was like, wait, are we a group? I guess we're a group, and so that's kind of how King's Return started. It wasn't until 2020, I think, that though, when things got official. Couple of the members, they either had other responsibilities, and some moved. Jerry's had moved, and so it was a lot of shifting there. But 2020, when we got the members we have now, Vaughn and Jamal, that's when we were like, okay, yeah, this is real, and let's call it a thing. What's the name and everything? And so, yeah, 2020 is our launch off year. We have the pleasure of doing things literally that next year. We were doing some for Apple, a movie for Apple, and we toured and created projects, and then folks like Cynthia Erivo, David Foster, all those folks have been able to listen to us and like, yo, we love your music and stuff, and it's just like, what, unreal. And so that's kind of how King's Return took off, and it's kind of become its own, just like a respite for me, because I do so much voiceover as my main gig, and I always tell people it's important to have something else outside of the realm, what your main thing is, just to kind of break it up a little bit. There has been many times where I've been like really stressed in that area, and then I go away. I was like, okay, I'm going to rehearsal and I'm going to do my thing, and then I come back. I'm like, okay, I'm glad to be back. So anyway.
Yeah, you gotta have. I would say you always have to have buckets to pour your passions into. 100%. Is what I say, because 100%. Even being young men, growing up in, like you said, African household.
Yeah.
The aspect of career and enjoyment and passions and what is going to be your career, what is going to be your future. Everything is kind of focused on your ability to provide stability, right?
Absolutely.
For you. And there's not a premium on like artistic expression or creativity. And so, you know, while you have your primary, the fact that you actually, again, devoted yourself to something, you give yourself the benefit to go enjoy something, right? In our generation, it's kind of flipped. A lot of folks go pursue their passions and what they enjoy, but they haven't like devoted. They don't have discipline. They don't have systems. They don't have repetition. They don't have reps in hardly anything.
Exactly.
Right. And so like jack of all, master of none type of. Yeah. And so I think it's really important, you know, to realize you actually did devote yourself long enough, and even in voiceover, you're able to enjoy. Right.
100%. Yeah. Especially in because what we do in on King's Return stuff and the music that we're doing requires a lot of skill and a lot of precision because it's all acapella.
Talk to that a little bit. Like I was on YouTube earlier.
Yeah.
Right. The Boyz II Men has almost 500,000 views. Ave Maria, 4.3 million views. Sounds of Gospel, acapella, 1.6 million views.
Yeah. It's interesting because all of us came from a background of classical music, which is rare. Especially as black men, to go to school for music in the classical route and then to take voice lessons. I have a music education degree. Vaughn, our tenor one, has a music education degree and a jazz degree.
Wow.
He ain't
like nothing.
Yeah. The brother knows some things in voice. So he's teaching, and then he's also on praise and worship leader at his church. J.E. is also praise and worship leader at his church. Jamal sings background for folks like Tamala Mann, Kirk, Jabari, like a bunch of other folks. So the idea of musicianship is already there, not only on just like an oral standpoint, but also we can read music as well, which again, also rare.
Very rare. Look, I was Devin Miles in that thing growing up. Like I played alto sax in middle school, played drums since I was 5, growing up in church, but I also played marching band. After high school, I had to choose. At 9th grade, it was straight up sports at that point. But I was Devin Miles in that thing. Man. I did not know how to read, so that's amazing.
We've been put in positions where people have thrown us music and we've had to read the music. We don't know what it sounds like, but you have to sight read and know what the notes sound like, the rhythms sound like. That's why I say it's so specific, and if it was anybody else, I'm not sure if it would have worked, just because of the type of music. So we do a lot of things that are influenced by classical music, jazz, gospel, Motown stuff. So it's very varied, and we have a good spread of demographic of people, white, black, Hispanic or whatever. We sing in like classical circuits where we might be in a classical hall singing, and then we go to a jazz club, and then we just vary ourselves so you don't box us in. And a lot of times when people see 4 black men singing together, they're just like, oh, they're either gonna rap or they're gonna rap. And so for us, when you hear us doing the Ave Maria or the classical stuff, the whole purpose with that was to break the stigma and be no, we're wearing sweats, we're wearing a t-shirt, and we can sing Ave Maria in a stairwell, make it sound good.
Stairwell. Listen, this stairwell is iconic at this point, y'all. I don't know if you've seen this stairwell. I figured they just bought the stairwell at this point.
It's at a church. It's at J.E.'s church.
Bro, the acoustics are wild.
They're crazy, man. They're crazy. and the things is like, that's what's special about it is like you would find those type of acoustics at the Vatican or something, like not compared to the Vatican because that's the thing, but I'm saying to those types of areas, but to find it in a corridor of a church in a little small area with 4 guys, ordinary guys.
Who would have thought?
Man. So anyway, to speak to it, it does take a lot of precision and to be able to read music, to be able to understand, blend with each other, all of those things. Is what makes it to the audience seem like we're just doing it off the cuff and making it
flowing. Now talk to us about real quick each person's kind of, I won't say role as much, but the formal vocal, whether it's the tenor or the alto, if you go through each person and kind of what they bring to the group.
Yeah, so I sing bass, obviously. So the lowest part of the group, and then above me, Jamal is a baritone. So he's higher than the bass. And he's a little lower than a tenor. And then J.E. McKissick, he is the tenor 2. He'll typically, obviously he's a tenor, but he'll typically take the leads on a lot of stuff. And then you have Vaughn Faison, who is the tenor 1. So he would be considered in if there was, a mixed choir type of thing, he'd be the soprano, if you will. So yeah, it's bass, baritone, tenor 2, tenor 1, and our functions, it's 4 voices, no instruments, and so I am really as the bass really driving the instrumentation, driving the kind of feel of it, the vibe. So I'm doing a lot of dum 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 dum, a lot of that stuff, and the others are acting as horns or like upper instruments or kind of the upper harmony. We were scared. We said farewell, leave our love into. Oh, something happened along the way. What it used to be happy and sad. Something happened along the way. And yesterday was